Right, good evening and welcome to Tipping Point this Thursday, where the succession politics is on a roller coaster. President Uhuru Kenyatta seemingly endorsing yet again ODM leader Raila Odinga. The BBI debate is alive, and according to Raila Odinga, he will resuscitate it when the right time comes. But the biggest antagonist of the BBI process, the deputy president, remains confident that whatsoever way, BBI has no value to Wanjiku. Also on the program tonight, we also dissect the State of the Nation address by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his backstabbing of the judiciary arm of the government. But first, let's have a look at how the week has been.
Uongozi sio sprint, ni marathon. Wewe utakimbia hapa, by the time umefika pale pumzi imeisha, lakini mzee amekanyanga polepole akuja kupitia ukiwa bado kwa barabara.
Mpango wa next year sio kubadilisha katiba ati kuongeza mamlaka ya rais, sijui kuongeza vyeo ya viongozi.
Reggae is on half time. It will come back. Mpira itaendelea. But the people of Kenya wanted a constitutional change, but a few individuals sat down in a back room and they decided otherwise.
And to have this discussion, we are joined by Area Member of Parliament of Nambale constituency, Sakwa Bunyasi, who is also a member of the ANC party. We are also joined by Ganze, Member of Parliament, Teddy Mwambire, who is from the ODM party. And finally, we have lawyer and aspiring Member of Parliament from Dagoretti North, Nordin Kagai. I'm your host for tonight, Cliff Ndubi, and you are watching Tipping Point. We ask you tonight, would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Talk to us via SMS 111 You can tweet us at Switch TV Kenya, at Switch TV KE on Twitter. Use the hashtag Tipping Point, and definitely do tag me at Cliff Ndubi and make this conversation move across our social media handles. So, gentlemen, it has been a roller coaster week in Nakuru. Yesterday, President Uhuru Kenyatta, seemingly yet again, he did hint that he will be endorsing the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Teddy Mwambire, you are from ODM. The last time this happened was in 2002 during the general elections. He himself, the president, failed terribly when the late Daniel Arap Moi, who was the president then, endorsed him. Why should he play this card, yet he knows the consequences that comes with it?
I think the president has not said that he's endorsing Raila Odinga.
He has just hinted.
Maybe you are suspicious of the signals, but he has not endorsed him, and we are yet even to hear whether Raila will be contesting or not. So it is on 10th when we are expecting Honorable Raila Odinga to give his stand on whether he will be contesting or not.
Oh, come on, Teddy. Are you trying to fool around with us?
Let's not work with signals. Yes, sometimes belief is not a proof. There are so many things that we believe which they don't exist, and the other things which you don't believe which they exist. So let's wait for 10th for Baba to declare that he's contesting.
Let's see how the signals then were played yesterday. Let's wait and see how the signals were played yesterday.
Maybe if I may go by your instincts. If you look at 2002, when the then president endorsed the current president, look at the circumstances.
Yes.
Uhuru was picked from somewhere. He was given a position as a nominated MP and then endorsed. But it was even very difficult to know who Uhuru was.
Yes.
So wherever he went, he used to introduce himself first. That I'm Uhuru Kenyatta, son of the first president of the republic. But Raila Odinga is someone who does not require any introduction in this country. Even not just Kenya, even across Africa. It does not require
that he
introduction.
Will be, yes.
So even without endorsement, Uhuru has a very huge following. So if the president endorses him, he will be adding one vote, because he has a vote that he will vote for him, and then he will be adding the votes for his constituents, because he also has some following. So I don't think it will be easier to outdo Raila when he is endorsed by the president. For now.
Definitely on outdoing Raila Amolo Odinga as a presidential candidate next year is what we all remain to see. But first, let's see and listen to what President Uhuru Kenyatta said yesterday in Nakuru as we continue with the show.
Uongozi sio sprint, ni marathon. Wewe utakimbia hapa, by the time umefika pale pumzi imeisha. Lakini mzee amekanyanga polepole akuja kupitia ukiwa bado kwa barabara. Munanielewa? Ukikuja waambie huyu ni mzee hafai, tunataka kijana, sijui huyu ni ako namna hii, huyu ako namna hii, huyu ako namna ile. Mtu anachagua na bongo bana, mtu achagui na.
All right, Nurdin Kagai, that is the president yesterday in Nakuru, where he said that it is too early for the deputy president to campaign and he might run out of gas. That is what he hinted. How is it likely to affect the politics of the succession politics come 2022?
First and foremost, allow me to say this. It's rather unfortunate from the condescending attitude that in politics that they have towards the young people, where they see the young people are either not yet ready or are not fit for office. You realize? And that reference is quite unfortunate, because at the end of the day, if you feel that, you know, there's something I've heard Musalia say today, and I give him a thumbs up. He said, for those who feel that the youth are in a hurry, they should know that the old, they've overstayed, or B, they're too slow. You know, and you know, sometimes back in the day, when matatus used to play music, they used to have those stickers. If it's too loud, you're too old. So people have to move with the times, okay? And now let me get back to you know, an endorsement by the president comes with a lot of things. You have to realize that. One, it comes with the failures of his government. And no one wants to have that on them.
Raila seems to be ready.
You see, the problem is that people believe that they have always had the votes, but now with this, they'll have the system. You see, the sad reality is that we have reduced our election from the people into a boardroom discussion where people decide who becomes president, which is very unfortunate. Because where's the will of the people in that? The people should be left to decide, as it used to be said back in the day. Let the people decide. So for me, I believe that yes, he has made that is an endorsement. But you know, in politics, they say look at more at what the leader is not saying. You see, forget what they are saying, but what are they not saying? So in short, you look at the celebration at Nakuru, right?
Yep.
The premier was there, all right? The right honorable prime minister, or former prime minister was there. So clearly you can see what he's trying to say, and it is his right, because he only has one vote.
Yep.
Okay, and I believe going forward, leaders should be given the chance to campaign for themselves. It is okay if you want to endorse, but sadly, you know, we have the memory of 202.
Yes.
Yes,
and talking about the memory,
Mheshimiwa just said that Uhuru was a nobody. Let me use that word. But you have to realize people were tired of Kanu.
Yes.
People wanted Kanu out of office.
And talking about the memories, necessary. Yes, just hold it there, because we are talking about the memories. Karibu sana Sakwa Bunyasi, Member of Parliament, Nambale.
Thank you.
The memories last year in, I think Kakamega, if I'm not wrong, during the burial of the mother to Musalia Mudavadi, the president hinted that he would be supporting Honorable Musalia Mudavadi. But right now he seems to be, yes!
He said that there shouldn't be a monopoly by two groups.
Yes.
It's time for a third one to happen. Maybe people deduced that since he was in Mululu, he meant that the third option should be Musalia. And I know there was a bit of panic in quarters which expected to be endorsed. But I think what we can say with certainty is that he meant that shouldn't just rotate between two groups.
Yes.
In reference to himself and his predecessors, and to Ruto and his predecessors. But I think he has shown his hand henceforth since then that he wants Raila Odinga to be the candidate. And all around the world, government projects fail. I think he's doing a disservice to somebody who had established his own track record. And now to sort of come across as a government project is not going to help him. And I don't think that in fact, I think the private pollings are showing bad signs.
Yes.
I think he would have done much better without the presidential hand in it. No.
Talking about that, is Kenya ready for a third, for the change that is needed politically and for the presidential seat next year?
Is Kenya ready for the change that would occur?
Yes.
I think Kenya is ready for a change. That a change needs to occur. I think Jubilee has run its course. I think they have done what they themselves feel they have done very well, and there are areas which they have done well. They have done well in infrastructure,
Yes.
in terms of looking at just what was covered, but not in terms of looking at the how well they have done in the country. It's so concentrated. There are many areas that are left out. So there are very many unhappy people out there, even on the infrastructure. Even though you can look at what has been done without worrying about the distribution effects around the country and say they need have achieved this, have achieved that. There are some governance issues around those infrastructure costings. But probably that's a second round of review. First round of review, you can see the projects that is doing in central Kenya that are underway. I'm sure they'll get completed. And we of course look at the Gorofa Road in Nairobi over Uhuru Highway. That is visible. Just like in the Kibaki era, the Thika Highway was sort of the flagship project. Yes. I think that he can be very proud of, but overall the economy is not doing well. Yes. And you can see the level of resistance in his backyard. I think there's been quite a bit of arm twisting, but the level of resistance is high. Yes. For a president in his second term. And he's finishing on a bad note with the rupture with this deputy president. That has undermined what they could have achieved if they were working together as a cohesive force. Yes. So I think he'll have things to say about his legacy. Yes. But I think there'll be challenges to the legacy as well that will occur. So Kenya will be ready for a new leader, definitely. They definitely will be ready for a new leader.
All right, talking about Kenyans being ready for the new leader come 2022, August 8th. Teddy, aren't you worried that when President Uhuru Kenyatta endorses the Right Honorable Raila Odinga in next year's polls, that might make him lose the seat?
First, I'll answer that question, but allow me to share something because I'm one of the young people in this country who is serving a third elective position. So it means that I was elected when I was very young. Yes. So the reference that the president gave to the young people, maybe my colleagues might feel insulted. But let us be very clear, because I've undergone elections when I was very young, and I've been going through elections. And to be very honest, young people are very good to pretend that they're supporting someone. Yes. But in most cases, they don't vote on that day. Elder people do vote. So if you are a young person and you want to contest, you must invest heavily to the elder people. Don't pretend that, don't say that Vijanas will vote for me. On that fateful day, they might either get drunk or some will be even clerks. They will be looking for those jobs, IBC jobs. So they will not be voting. So a big fraction of the young people will not vote. Even if you look at the statistics, a number of young people today have not even registered as voters, which is a big challenge to us. So we are many, but we are not united. Because we are the same people who are going to be hired to be like goons, to even heckle your fellow young person who is looking for a seat. Sure. So we need to look at that. So with the issue of endorsement, if it so happens, for me, I don't think it will bring a lot of issues, because I'm looking at the political arithmetics in this country since 1963. Honorable Raila comes from where we had Kanu, and Honorable Ruto comes from where we had Kadu. Yes. And the other candidates who is likely maybe to contest,
Musalia Mudavadi, he's just announced it today.
Musalia Mudavadi also comes from where Kadu was. So the Kadu stronghold is already divided. And if you look at most parts of, most areas whereby we had the Kadu in 1963 are lying to Raila Odinga. Yes. This means that Kadu will not manage to get those numbers. So Uhuru and Raila are the KANU of 1963. So in whichever circumstances, it will be easier for Raila to take that position. I'm saying so because even in 2002, there was a division in Mount Kenya because we had Kibaki and Uhuru.
And it is the same thing that we are experiencing right now.
So even if Raila gets 40% in Central because of the Jubilee Hills and the endorsement, he will be better off than the other candidates. So I'm not even seeing likelihood of having a rerun. Yes.
You are just ruling out a rerun, but according to pollsters, Sakwa Bunyasi, we've seen for the past 3 months, 2 poll results have been released, and they say that there is a likelihood that Kenyans will be going to the second round of a presidential rerun if elections were to happen today. Are we likely to go there? Do you agree with him that...
I think almost definitely we would have a rerun. I see little possibility of getting a first round win by any of the candidates. So we definitely have a rerun. And the rerun is not favorable for Right Honorable Prime Minister. No, it isn't. I mean, I hear the analysis on the KANU. I know that young people also like to delve into history, but I think that that is really a deep reach.
Yes.
That's right at the bottom of the ocean. And you can't dismiss a theory, you can't dismiss a theory. I only have an alternative thought that the voting patterns have been more revealed in the more recent rounds of elections. But I just want to repeat my statement that I think Right Honorable Prime Minister would have done better than he's likely to do if he didn't have such an aggressive endorsement.
Yes.
Voting in a government project is not an easy thing, and he has done better when he's been against things like those. To the extent that it seems almost certainly that that's the way the president is going to act now, I think for me it is a disadvantage. I mean, there is a certain cover you get. You get state largesse and state protection, as is happening now, and perhaps even state financing.
Yes.
But in a country in which we're having difficulties right now, for example, the presidential State of the Union address, he highlighted the growth in the GDP. He highlighted that we are richer now than we were, and we are, I don't know, number 6 in Africa.
Yes.
But just happened 2 days after Mkuru and Njenga. Is it Mkuru wa Ruben or Njenga? Yeah, Mkuru kwa Ruben.
Yes.
After a very unfortunate incident of displacement, physical and brutal displacement.
But it has been happening for the past 2 or 3 months.
No, but you see the timing of this. And the nation was embarrassed to see these people who are struggling through the COVID economy and otherwise anyway, with their beddings wet and being used to try and get some shelter, torn mattresses using to get shelter and so on. And then you come up and say, we are a happy nation, we are a growing nation, we are a richer nation. That's not being felt. I come from Busia.
Yep.
And in Busia, since 2013, the proportion of poverty levels, people below the poverty line, was 53, living at the decimal.
Yes.
In the 2019 estimates, it was 69.9, we call it 70. It had worsened by a factor of 30%, from 53 to 70. That's not a nation which GDP is growing for everybody.
Yes.
So it would be difficult to sell that as you hand over somebody else and say, you see, I've done quite well, I'm now giving you so and so to continue my legacy. I think that the former Prime Minister is stronger if he would have been in a position to be free to attack this record.
Yes.
That would have given him real mileage. But to defend the record, he can't make votes out of it.
What is the biggest undoing?
What
What is the biggest problem that comes with the dangers that come with the president involving himself with the succession politics, Kagai?
First and foremost, the elections has to be seen to be free, fair and credible, right? And that is why you see there are issues with the agency that was formed the other day, and the issues with the IBC. Because even if you look at the Constitution, 248 and 249, they talk about IBC, 248 talks about the commissions. There are 10. IBC is one of them. 249 talks about IBC can't be controlled or directed on how to do its affairs. And so when they feel like they are being directed on how to work, that becomes a problem, because IBC is there courtesy of Article 88 of the Constitution. So you realize the process has to be free, all right, and credible at the end of the day. Yes. So like Mheshimiwa just said, you see, Jubilee, the ghost that is haunting Jubilee is one. You see, Jubilee campaigned, back then it was TNA and URP. 2013, what they promised is their biggest undoing. Because to date, 3/4 of what they promised has never been fulfilled. All right? And so you see, trying to support that is going to be hard, because at the end of the day, people have questions. Because the kids who are there in class 1 have not finished class 8. They've never seen a laptop. All right? Those who are waiting for stadias have never seen the stadias. All right? And we have clips about jokes that go around about the 6 and 3 months. All right? So how you are going to defend that is going to be hard, because at the end of the day, when people look at the president, they look at what he promised and what he's failed. Like, for example, the Sona, when he was reading the other day, first and foremost, I believe members of our parliament, we need to come to a place like in South Africa. You know, their Sona, they actually question the president. You came here the other day and you talked about ABCD. We need to move there so that we avoid speeches, and then you leave, nobody questions what you talked about. You realize? So what I'm saying is, when you look at the Sona, it was more or less like him trying to outline his legacy, all right? But you have to realize, when you talk about how rich we've become, and you look at the economy, people don't feel it, all right? So they ask themselves, this richness, what are you gauging the richness on, all right? Because most of the things they focused on are the infrastructure, all right? When you talk about the Sona, you talk about the gains, you forget the debt. Listen. Just wait. Listen.
Let me be the devil's advocate, whereby the president we can defend right a kilometer from where we are. We can see the expressway, the Western bypass already. There's commendable work that is being done there. The SGR itself, he delivered. So we cannot just blindly say that the president has done nothing.
It's good you've gone there. Now, the express you're talking about, you're going to be paying levies for 27 years. The company you're going to pay that levy to, which is the company. All right? Those are the questions we're asking. You remember, the good thing about the SGR you've asked, there's 2 or 3 years ago, he was asked about the documentation on SGR. He promised to do 71 days. It was never produced. So these are the questions Parliament need to ask, members of Parliament.
We'll be talking about Parliament.
Listen, they need to ask such questions like, you borrowed money. Was there security? What is the security? Because we keep hearing about the port. Is it true? We need clarification on that. The money you borrowed, where was it taken? How was it utilized? What was stolen? Because now we go back to corruption. Because you see, when you just read about the achievements of kilometers of roads, a kilometer of road in Kenya is worth 1.5 billion.
How on earth is that?
You look at the entire scenario, because when you just talk about what you've achieved, and there's so many underlying issues, it doesn't make sense. That is why the economy doesn't make sense. When you talk about you're number 6 in Africa, and people are languishing in abject poverty. If you just go behind here, where they call Karendogo, which is Kibra, if you look at the state of how people are living, it is sad.
All right. Just hold it there at exactly 8 p.m. East African time. We go on a very short break, but when we come back, we share some of your feedback where we did ask you, would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Keep the conversation moving across our social media handles, Switch TV Kenya, Facebook, Switch TV KE, on Twitter, and of course do tag me Cliff Ondobi on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and definitely later I'll be sharing some of your feedback. But right about now, let's go on a break. When we come back, we take a look at the State of the Nation address, and the president keeps on backstabbing the judiciary and the BBI process. Trust me, according to Raila Odinga, it is coming back big and bigger. Let's go on this short break, but all that will be coming to you in a few.
Petition for constitutional change. They made this petition indirectly through the county assemblies and parliament, and the record of parliament attests to the fact that the people of Kenya wanted a constitutional change, but a few individuals sat down in a back room and they decided otherwise.
To be committing yourself.
And definitely this is the second part of
We would be
Tipping
very
Point,
happy to
taking a
have
look
Raila.
at the State of the Nation address by President Uhuru Kenyatta earlier this
And that'd be a
week.
monumental
So many complained that he took so many hours reading a very unnecessary speech. I don't know why that should be coming up, but nonetheless, he mentioned something about the constitutional changes, and Raila Odinga in Nakuru, he reiterated the same and said that at the right time, the BBI process will be resuscitated. But they went to the Supreme Court to seek more judgment from there, which might be taking more time, and hopefully it might be during the upcoming election and the incoming government that will be handling it. But we did ask you, would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by President Uhuru Kenyatta? Would you vote for a presidential candidate endorsed by Uhuru Kenyatta? With me in studio is Sakwa Bunyasi, Member of Parliament Nambale. We do have Nurdin Kagai, who is a lawyer and a constitutional expert, who is an aspiring politician as well. He will be running for a seat in Dagoretti North, not forgetting Teddy Mwambire, who is a Member of Parliament from Ganze, in studio. Well, let's talk about the politics of the day. Today, ANC launched its online platforms. Sakwa Bunyasi, you guys, what is happening? Where is the future of Oka? Is it dead? Is Oka dead?
Oka is a potential coalition. It's not a current coalition because they haven't ratified instruments of coalition, of cooperation that would create the coalition. So it is a grouping of intent. There are processes underway, and if all the necessary things are fulfilled, it could end up in signing instruments of cooperation which would create the coalition. I think those conversations so far in an organization that's not yet tied down by legal instruments has done pretty well. Continuous consultation and so on. Now, if until the instruments of coalition of cooperation are signed to create a coalition, then we would say we do have a legal entity called Oka. Now we have an organizational instrument that is providing an opportunity to work together among different groupings. And if that had turned out, if that does turn out into a coalition or something similar, it will be a very substantial coalition. If that had turned out, but that's work in progress now. And at the global level, we loosely are saying, I had my colleague talk about the numbers that Raila would have in the independence Kano side of things.
Yes.
But circumstances, he said earlier about Uhuru in 2002, the circumstances were different. Circumstances were really different in 1963, that where they cast the argument. And I was reasonably grown up at the time. When we got independence, I was already 17.
Yes.
I was able to read newspapers, and I took sides, even though I did not vote.
Sure.
That Kanu was cast as one that does not want independence, once was Zungus to stay, and Kanu was the one that wanted them out. Yes. That was a propaganda that actually did work. They differed on the timetable, they differed on the policy positions, and so on. So I think the situation now would possibly, definitely be different. And you can see how things are emerging in Western, for example, which is a very important voting bloc where Raila has always benefited from, has a resurgence of internal nationalism, so to call it, patriotism, so to say, that is going to be inimical to his interests, I'm sure. The coast, which you know well, is the coast is now a mixed bag. They are also coming up again with the degree of nationalism that existed even at independence, for example, sure. Which would be a case that would apply relative to Honorable Mwambire's example. So the arithmetic, there's a lot in the arithmetic that has still got to be done. And
yes.
As we speak, the reason that the parties involved, all the groups involved, including the president, are working so hard, it's because that arithmetic is not falling in place.
Would you work with ODM because the arithmetics are not falling in place as you had projected?
I think that, we have been, now I talk as an ANC person.
Yes.
If you say, would I, as an ANC person, we've just been through that. We've been through that in NASA.
2017?
2017, yes. And I was on the committee, four-chair committee, that was the management arm of that coalition. We were with Senator Orengo, myself, Senator Mdhama, and I forget the fourth person.
Miguna?
No. I'll get a fourth person from Tuco-Kenya.
Yes.
And so on. Now, there are some difficulties in. It's like every marriage, you know. Things look nice from outside. You can marry the most beautiful model in the world. You could be, and both could be, and then things just don't work out. You know, everybody thinks they should, but they don't work out. And I think Honorable Musalia Mudavadi did describe it as a trust deficit. And I think, in summary and in simplicity, let's keep it there. That was, I think, the biggest issue. But now, even though in politics everything is possible, as they say, who knew that one Uhuru Kenyatta would work with one Ruto? Who knew that one Raila would work with Uhuru? In the midst of violence, when people were dying on the street, negotiations were going on. Who knew that would happen? There was such a flip that took his closest ones by surprise. But that's not going to happen. I don't think you can repeat mistakes over and over and over. No.
All right. And Teddy, let's. You guys as ODM have said that you are going up to the end. You're going till August 8th, 9th, when the general elections will be done. But the issue of coalition in Kenya is still big. Would you be willing to work with ANC yet again?
We have no problem with the ANC. There are people we know better.
But they seem to be having a problem with you guys.
We know there are people we know better, and we know politics is a matter of interests. So if the interests are well catered in negotiations, then I don't think there will be any issues. And I believe you know very well that ANC, the bedrock of ANC is Western, where they believe to be having a very good following. So the interest that we also have in Western is that there are some votes which normally vote for ODM. We have both the ODM supporters and ANC supporters. So what is there, we need to agree on where we should field which candidate. Because last time we lost a number of seats in Western simply because of having a loose coalition. So if we agree and we support each other, I think that one will be much better. So, but as ODM, we are still going to have a very good coalition, whereby we are going to have a number of parties. So me and Mheshimiwa Bunyasi, we cannot rule out anything because all those issues are normally handled by our party leaders. So today maybe I might be having issues with Mheshimiwa Bunyasi, and we say we cannot work together. But the moment our leaders come together because of a convenience, then that one becomes necessary to do that. But in real sense, we have been working with the ANC. We are still working with them in parliament. We are very close.
You are very
we have been pushing together BBI, so we have no issues with them.
And still on BBI, this is what Right Honorable Raila Odinga had to say about it, and resuscitating it, he shows some sense of optimism as he gears towards maybe winning the presidential elections next year, and maybe bring back now the BBI in full force and give it to the people. Let's listen in.
We are going to have, Reggae is going on halftime. When Reggae is on half-time, it will come back. Period and a layer. So I'm inviting people to come to Nairobi on the 10th of this month, when we are going to talk about azimio la umoja ya watu wa Kenya. Thank you.
So the deputy president is adamant that the BBI process is done and dusted because it went to the courts twice, but it failed to go through. But nonetheless, in studio are gentlemen who would give me reasons. Guys, just give me reasons why. What is there? What is remaining for BBI? Honestly speaking, Kagai.
You know, judging from what Raila is saying, you know, first and foremost, you have to be honest. You see, the BBI, there are some certain constitutional timelines that have passed. The BBI cannot. There are things like the constituencies. Some things can't come. So if he's talking about the BBI, maybe he's talking, if he wins, he'll try to revive the BBI. Because as it is right now, the BBI can't come before the elections.
There's a case in court.
You see, even if they win at the Supreme Court, timelines are, it is time barred. All right, it is for now. It is time barred. If he wins and wishes to do that, because there are instances where they talk about 100 days once they take office, maybe they'll try to do that. But the obsession of the BBI is too funny, because at the end of the day, the president during the SONA, he said it was a people initiative.
Yes.
And if you're going to be honest, it was never about the people.
Yes.
It wasn't a people initiative. The people didn't initiate it. You realize, and that is why they had pains to show that he's part of the people. You see, in court. So at the end of the day, and you know, going around and you know, making the comments he made about the judges isn't fair, because at the end of the day, you'll need the judges one day.
Yes.
So for me, I believe as a country, first and foremost, what bewilders us, you see, people talk about how you want to make us one, how we are going to fight ethnicity and everything. The problem is never with the people, it is with the leaders. Because right now, Otieno Kamau will watch football together. Today there's a football match between Arsenal and Manchester.
Yes.
You'll go around and there are people from different communities watching that game. But the moment we get to an election period, someone comes and reminds you that you are this tribe. It is the leader that comes and reminds you. So before you even talk about fixing whatever you want to fix, first fix yourself. You see, you cannot.
But according to the president,
you cannot dare fix the hardware when the software is rotten.
But according to the president,
it's the same way with our politics. I'll tell you, it's the same way with our politics. Do you know what ails the coalition formations? Because our politics is full of deceit, conmanship, and betrayal. And that is why you see, let me tell you, that is why you see, Oka can be a very good force. But now, there are issues where you realize people are talking about certain betrayal, certain meetings at night.
Yes.
It might be propaganda, you never know. So this, before we even solve about, you know, the issue about coalition, for them to work, there has to be trust.
But
right?
according to the president,
when the trust is broken, you can never have a coalition.
According to the president, he says that the winner-take-it-all argument is what BBI would cure. Would it be?
No, it won't cure that. That's one of the things it will not cure. Let me go back. I think it will be difficult to resuscitate BBI process in the structure and form that it had, even with the goals that it had, even after the election. The next election will not be a landslide. It's only if the pro-BBI side had a landslide that they could say they can ride on that and win. Maybe a close, maybe whichever side wins will be a close one. And so you won't have the implied mandate in the population to run on with it. It will be hard work. And I think it's the fundamentals that will make a problem with it. The problem was that Kenyans were concerned about post-election violence in the years it occurred. But if you look at it, all of the election violence occurred largely through state manipulation. All through, and in 2002, when there wasn't state manipulation, it was peaceful. But preceding that, 92-97, and then 2007, when the results were quite clear, it was external manipulation that brought the violence. In 2013, we would have had the same outcome if it had not been decided and the ODM side decided to go along with it. Was it called? Was it called at that time? And in 2017, of course, we had the rerun. And the fundamental problem we have had is the inability to add numbers and report them as voted. So we can say, at the narrow end, we can say inability of IBC, even with the computers, to add correctly what the election results are and transmit to the people those results. That's what led to this. But they didn't do that. They were doing that because of manipulation externally, external to the IBC. BBI did not attempt in any way to deal with that. Only after the thing was nearing rejection towards the end were the issues of electoral systems again coming up, where we really have a problem. And you can see we're really beginning to have that challenge. And I'm glad that Chebukati refused to sit in so-called coordinating panel that is intended now to sort of help manage so that everybody's on the same side. That shouldn't happen. I think that we should just let the numbers be counted, and if Honorable Prime Minister has the numbers, as he has happened before in some of the coalitions he has led some of the elections, let that be the winner. And if an alternative person has the numbers, let that be the winner. They will run Kenya. They are not going to go away with any part of it anywhere. It will be here. And if they don't do well, they'll be thrown out the next election.
But then talking about the elections, IEBC has just come out and said that, you know what, guys, we are not going to have a credible election if you are interfering with us. They withdrew from the elections preparedness team that had been constituted. Are we likely to have a free and fair election, Steady?
Yes, but allow me also to respond to the issue of BBI.
Sure.
I think in as much as we will be suspicious, or even though it is like the time is not with us, I still feel that BBI still has a number of issues which are very important to us. I'm talking as a person from an area or from a region whereby we have been manipulated for so long, just like my colleague from the Western. People who have not been, we have been familiaring as Kenyans, but not enjoying. So if we want to succeed, whoever is going to win must be in support of the BBI issues, most of the BBI issues. So let's agree, whoever wants to be a president, let's agree on a timeline, like what we did in 2007. When we say, after that we said that we want about 100 days or so, we're going to assassinate this thing. So that at least we can sit again and come up with those issues. Because one, we wanted a number of constituencies to be protected. Because currently they are loose, though we are going to vote as they are, but we are in danger. We're going to lose a number of constituencies in the country, and we might even lose some of the counties. For instance, in Lamu County, we are going to have only one constituency. Yes, because we have two constituencies, but if you look at the numbers, we are likely going to have only one constituency. So losing such constituencies will be a loss to us. So those are some of the issues that need to be addressed. And in the BBI, for instance, we had sought to be protected. They need to be protected. So if we protect them, it means that we are at least will be moving in a direction that at least will be very clear.
You seem to disagree.
But that's just a legal process. Like we did last time, they were protected for 10 years. And that was coming to an end. It's a change of law, not a constitution.
We want the
constitution. Fight we have is changing the constitution. And there's no way you're going to get permanent protection in the constitution. Then it means you ignore all demographics. So the things that can be done administratively could probably have passed, including that one, without having to seek to change the constitution. That's, I think, where people have difficulty with. Even the revenue sharing of 35%, the law now says a minimum of, it doesn't prescribe a maximum. And where we lie in that sharing depends on the resources in the economy and willingness to go with devolution. That we could have achieved or began to achieve it even before that change. But I don't want to
you see, the challenge that we have in Kenya is that we don't have an angel. Whoever gets the position of the president will be looking at the region where he comes from, he or she comes from. That is the reason why we want protection. That's why I said for regions like Coast Region or even Western, whereby we have been overstepped, we need protection. And the protection will not just come out of a goodwill. Because someone will pretend to be good because they want to ascend to power. But when that person ascends, it becomes very dangerous to us. So to get protection, we need some clauses in the constitution which will be protecting us. That is what we want. So for me, what I think, I'm in agreement that we are time bad, but we must get a way whereby we are going to bring up some of these issues. The number of issues in the constitution that needs to be addressed, they need to be addressed. So we need to look at whether we are going to win in court or not. We need to sit and agree as Kenyans on how we can move forward. So the issue of the other one who is saying that we don't need BBI and all those things, we need to be very clear with this person, because we know very well that even in 2010 he did not support the constitution change. And when he got an opportunity to be the deputy president, who is now the chair of the intergovernmental relations, we are seeing a number of issues which are not going clearly. Even last time, he was invited to the devolution conference. he did not go.
He did
Why?
not show
Because he is not supporting devolution. So
we
we
do-
know the
we
kind
do-
of person
we do
are
have less
dealing with.
than 3 minutes to go, but we'll finish up on this whole BBI thing
Yeah.
before we take your final remarks on the president's last State of the Nation address from Parliament.
You know, Cliff, I'm an optimist, and I heard him say that we don't have angels and ABCD. You know, the problem that builds Kenya is one: we vote on ethnicity and euphoria. And that is why you end up with the clowns that we have in office. You know, you elect a clown, expect a circus, all right? At the end of the day, I speak from like someone who comes from the school of leadership of Thomas Sankara. What do I mean when I say this? You see, when you talk about winner takes it all, that is a fallacy that is created at the end of the day. Because right now, the president comes from Kikuyu, right? He's a Kikuyu community, right? Are they suffering as well with the harsh economy? They are, right? So at the end of the day, all I'm saying is that whenever you're being sworn as a president in the open, that's why they do it in public.
Yes.
You say, I'll be the president of the Republic of Kenya, not Nairobi, Kiambu, or Mandera.
Of Kenya.
So at the end of the day, it is upon you to realize that you serve everyone equally. So what we do, the problem is we keep repeating the same faces. And that is why we keep crying. We need a leader, not a politician. Distinction is, a politician is self-serving and self-seeking. A leader is a visionary, patriotic, and most importantly, someone who wants to come and serve the people. That is what we need going forward. So when we discuss, the sad reality is that this election, as you see it, is still going to be based on ethnicity and based on euphoria. So we need to mature to a point where we elect based on ideas,
ideologies.
not mere rhetoric and not just mere euphoria. Because you have to realize, and this is the problem,
Yes.
people come into office with promises, they fail, they form a new party, come with a new party and get into office again.
Yes.
And that is what we need to move away from,
Yes.
so we can change this country going forward.
We should just be winding up because I'm told we do have 2 minutes before we go. I'm giving each of you 30 seconds before I take some of the feedback here. Starting with you, Sakwa Bunyasi, the president made his last State of the Nation address from Parliament. It is his last. Would you say that you have been independent as an arm of the legislature?
No, well, we have a strong constitutional mandate, but that constitutional mandate, even in the design of the current one, is undermined to the extent that the party in parliament that forms government tries to be loyal and has to be loyal to help get government agenda through.
Yes.
And this time, it was quite substantial, Jubilee was substantial. And then later they were joined by ODM. And they were voting together entirely. So actually ODM effectively joined government. And that then gave them a super majority. There wasn't independence there. And because they then had to shore up the government, particularly after the president-deputy, there was a rupture, they couldn't frustrate that effort in parliament. So that provided a supermajority that negated some of the oversight fundamentals, and I think he would agree.
You would agree
negated
with that,
the fundamentals of oversight. We had a problem there. We've changed the level of psychophancy from one side to the other. Now it's a super psychophancy.
All right, time is running out. Teddy, do you agree or do not? 30 seconds.
Okay, to some extent I agree, but it is not ODM. Even ANC are part of the mess. So we have joined the government in a way that there are some issues that sometimes we support. Because we expect that maybe it will get better. Because we wanted a way whereby at least we see things moving. Because things were not moving, and the country was like collapsing. That's why we had to slow down our push. And in the process of slowing down, now Kenyans were unable to identify whether there is opposition or not. It is like the grand coalition government whereby everyone was almost in government.
Sawa sawa. Kagai, your last take.
The
30 seconds.
The problem with our political parties is that they're not institutions, they are owned by individuals. And that is why you listen when they talk, they say, respect the party leader, respect the party position. Where does that leave you, me, and the rest, who are expect them to represent us? So at the end of the day, they get whipped into a certain party line or party position, and they forget. So meaning when they get there, most of them serve the political master, become sycophants to reap benefits of that support. So we need to move away from that and have institutions instead of the parties that we have.
We have independent members of parliament, and they're behaving worse than those who are in parties.
Sawa sawa, asante sana gentlemen. Sakwa Bunyasi, Member of Parliament Nambale, he will be running for governor next year. And someone says, Jamani, I can't vote for an endorsed presidential candidate. Raila is already a failure. I see my next Busia governor, Honorable John Sakwa Bunyasi. Simon Karisa, you are cheating yourself. That is Teddy. I think he's answering to you supporting a presidential candidate who has been endorsed by the Right Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta. Someone here says, Mercy Masharia, my favorite TV show, 30 minutes past the hour. That's all we had for you on Tipping Point this Thursday. Next week, Frederick Mwitiriri will be coming back. The views expressed on this show are strictly individual views and do not portray the views of Switch TV. I've been your host, Kim Fondubi. Do have a good evening and keep watching Switch TV.